Hey friends, and welcome to this Tone Tuesday, the first of the Tone Tuesdays. And today we're going to do something that I haven't been able or brave enough to do since the late 80s. No, not get a mullet cut and sprayed on jeans. No, something I've wanted to record forever. We're going to crank my Marshall JCM800 2210 from 1987 and take it all the way up to 11. How are we going to do that in a residential area? In a silent studio, I hear you ask? Stay tuned to find out, coming right up. I've been really excited about this since I met Guillaume at 42 Gear Street, and then he sent me the Torpedo Captor, Captor 8, which stands for 8 ohm or 8 mega ohm load box, attenuator, speaker sim and DI. This is what is going to allow me, for the first time since the 80s, to turn my Marshall up full. What this little box does is it acts as 4 different things. It acts as a load box, so it can act in place of having a speaker attached. That's how come we can keep it silent in a silent studio with this box. So that's the first thing it does as a load box. And you see there's a speaker input on the back. The next thing it does is it works as an attenuator. And an attenuator is something that lowers or attenuates the volume. And this gives you a minus 20 dB output into a speaker should you want it. It's also got a through so that you can fully power your normal speaker should you want to, but you don't need to connect a speaker with this because it acts as a load box. It also has a speaker simulator. It's got a guitar cab simulator, a bass cab simulator, and it's also got a straight through, which gives it its last function, which is as a DI for your amp signal, which means that it isn't put through a speaker simulator at all. It's exactly the output that your amp head puts into the speaker, and then you can reamp that, or you can put it through impulse responses, IRs. So this little machine is really versatile. It's got a line output on the front and an overall level and a balanced output, and the balanced output will work for 48 volt phantom powering. You don't even need to connect up the 9 to 24 volt input that this can take, because it will power from phantom power, and that's exactly how we're going to do it today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over and get my Marshall head, and we're going to set it up here. We're going to set it up with the Torpedo running into the Focusrite 8i6 3rd gen, and then into my laptop, and we're going to do some recording with it. We're also going to record an entire track with the Marshall on full tilt, all coming up. Let's go and get the amp and let's have a listen to it. So today we're going to do something I've wanted to do in a heck of a long time, and that is we're going to turn this beast up full. Let's get it out. I'd like to say a big thanks to Dan at Strings and Things for sending me 2 of these Curlin 25-foot speaker cables, which can allow me to route this all the way around from where the amp usually sits to my recording position at the desk. So thanks, Dan. Okay, so one of the most vital things we need to do, seeing as this is an 8 ohm Torpedo, is we need to make sure that we change the output setting of our amplifier, which can switch between 4, 8 and 16 ohm. We need to make sure that we've got that set to 8 ohm, which we now have. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to plug in the Focusrite into channel 1 and make sure that that's got phantom powering on, 48 volt phantom powering. Then next we're going to plug the other end of that cable into the captor, and we should see, yep, there we go, the 48 volt phantom powering LED has come on. Just while we've got the captor here, I can show you it's got a line out and a volume level control for that line out. It's got a phase switch which allows you to put the signal in reverse phase, because these are very often delayed, the signal coming out of these, compared with the same capture if you're capturing a mic on the cab at the same time. It's got a switch which you'll see in more detail later. which gives you cab simulation. At the moment I've got it switched to the guitar. In the centre is off, and then the other side there's a bass cab emulator. You can see we're using the DI output, the speaker sim output. It's also got a ground lift button on it, but we shouldn't need that at the moment, and a line out, and you can power it via its own power supply if you want to. But for my purposes, it's so much easier just to let the Focusrite send it phantom power. And then we'll have a quick look at how we set up the back. Right, so very first things first, before we plug anything else in, I'm checking that I've got this on 8 ohms, and I'm going to put the speaker output into the red speaker input of the captor. Also on the back of the captor, you've got an attenuated 20 dB reduced level output to go to a speaker if you want to, and you can also go direct through into a speaker. Nice little protected fan there. So now that we've done that, we can plug the Marshall in. Okay, now let's plug in the input and also some headphones so that I can monitor it into the Focusrite, and we're ready to go. Okay, so as you can see, I'm now set up through the Focusrite going into the laptop, and then that Focusrite on phantom powering is powering the Torpedo Captor, and the Captor is plugged into the Marshall. So now, with the magic of headphones, if I set recording going on there, we should be able to hear the magic tone of this Marshall. That's with both volumes up full. Now let's stick the gain on full. Oh. Just roll that volume back off a bit to see what the breakup sound is like. So as you can see, that is the direct sound using the cab emulation on the Captor. So if we turn that off, you'll hear it sounds really quite fizzy, the direct tone. And it's also got a bass cab emulator on there. But I much prefer, in fact I really quite like the IR that the guitar cab gives you. Let's just have a switch to the clean channel and have a see how that sounds. Ah, of course, at the moment we've got the master volume absolutely cranked, so we're getting that lovely little breakup even on the clean channel. Absolutely gorgeous sound on that clean channel with it cranked all the way up. Let's take the master volume back down a little touch and get a little bit more clean. Can afford to bring a little bit more level in there to bring that up. That's a beautiful clean tone I remember from this amp. So there you go, tone tests. Marshall JCM800 cranked up full tilt. Love that tone. Okay, as promised, I did record a track today, and what's more, for my Patreons, I've done a complete behind the scenes of this video so that you can see exactly how I went about recording this video and also recording the track. But as I promised at the start of the video, we'll have a listen to the track that I recorded using this Torpedo Captor and my Marshall JCM800 head. I'll be back really soon to try out some of the IRs on the Cab M, the Torpedo Cab M. But I hope you'll agree from listening to the demos today that the cab sim on this Captor is absolutely fantastic, and I'd be happy to use this. It sounds just like my 4x12. I'd be happy to use this in place of any IR or cab sim. So let me know what you think, as always, in the comments down below. I love reading them, I love responding to them, and I'll be looking forward to seeing what you have to say about the Captor and about the sounds of this and my JCM800. I'll be back really soon with more great content, more Tone Tuesdays, more Fretted Fridays, and more Streaming Sundays really soon. But in the interim, you take really good care.